All right, guys, we are here today. I know I scheduled the stream for like 7:40, but we're gonna start it early today. That's all right. We don't really have too much economic data. We got a lot of Fed members speaking this week, and so I'm kind of like looking at some of this stuff here. Hold on. All right, all right, all right. There we go. All right, so yeah, this week we got CPI, we got the Fed minutes report. It's actually a pretty busy week, but all the busyness starts like Wednesday, right? So Wednesday's when like all the stuff, like the gang of economic reports starts Wednesday. Wednesday we get started with the FOMC minutes report dropping, kind of detailing why they chose to cut rates last couple weeks ago, 3 weeks. What has it really been? What's crazy to me, guys, like, has it really been 3 weeks since the Federal Reserve cut interest rates? Has it been 3 freaking weeks already? It has to be, because the Fed minutes report is every 3 weeks, right? Or every 6 weeks, but it's 3 weeks after the Fed decision, which had to be 3 weeks ago. That seems like time is just freaking just going. You know, that's a crazy amount of time to pass. I thought it was last week. I think I was referencing it as last week this morning before I realized that it's been 3 weeks. So, crazy. But good morning, guys. What's up, Sam, Freddie, Pawn, Martin? Wednesday, we get started with the FOMC. We're going to do a poll here like we always do. Does this week's CPI report come in hot or cold? Vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, aside from that, like, look, this week we got CPI on Thursday, PPI on Friday, Fed minutes report on Wednesday, bunch of earnings on Friday too. We got big bank earnings start. So it's earnings season coming back live. Which is nice, right? I'm ready for earnings season. Like, next week's kind of boring in terms of everything. But, you know, like, tomorrow we have Pepsi earnings. You know, earnings season, even if you don't play the stocks that have earnings, it's still a volatile time in markets. You know, so tomorrow we have Pepsi earnings. Thursday morning, we've got, like, Tilray, Delta, Domino's, a couple other ones. And then Friday we got like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, BLK, Bank of New York, Fastenal, Bank 7. And so we'll see what happens there. But the big one, so typically every earnings season, let me get some music played here. Whew, I'm over here paying taxes, dude. I hate freaking taxes, bro. Like, honestly, dude, like, I pay so much money in taxes, dude. I just am not happy about paying that much money in taxes, dude. Ugh. Like, it's good that I make enough to where I have to pay so much tax money, but it's bad because I should have restructured my business as an S corporation a long time ago, and I just kind of didn't. And like now I'm paying, you know, so much money in taxes. It's just terrible, freaking horrible. I hate taxes. Good morning, people. Let's make some money. What's up, Foo? Yeah. What's up, C. Harris? What's up, Dixie? Hate taxes, love taxis. Well, taxis are on their way out. There's not even going to be a thing as taxis in 20 years, I think. The taxi industry as a whole is going down. What would the S Corp done differently? So like right now, like for last year, this is 2023 taxes, by the way, right? So I'm paying taxes for last year, right? Last year, you know, I'm not going to say how much I made, but like my tax bill is, you know, over 40 grand, you know. So like I had to pay more in taxes for last year than a lot of people make in the entire year, you know, which is a blessing, but it's also horrible because it's so much freaking tax money. And one of the reasons it's so much tax money is because you have what's called the self-employment tax, right? So you have what's called the self-employment tax, which is crazy. You know, and Sorry, I'm reading somebody saying read some news. Yeah, I mean, we're going to go over it. But you have what's called the self-employment tax. That is like 15%, right? Which is crazy because it's like if you're employing yourself, shouldn't you pay less taxes, not more? But like if you want to start your own business, you get an extra 15% tacked on there. It's just ridiculous, right? But if you structure your business, and again, I'm going to preface this with I am not a CPA. I have no freaking idea. This is definitely an area, genuinely no freaking idea what I'm talking about. Okay, have no idea. I could be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Don't critique it too closely. And if I'm wrong, tell me. Listen, I'm open to hearing it if I'm wrong. So just yell at me if I'm wrong. But yeah. So if you structure your business as an S corporation, what you can in turn do, at least from what I understand, is I can instead say, hey, I'm an employee of my company. I'm gonna pay myself a salary of whatever I want to pay myself. Right. And on that salary, I do not get the self-employment tax. I don't get hit with the self-employment tax because I'm paying myself a salary. So I'm structuring the business as an S corporation, paying myself a salary as the CEO of my business, and in turn getting around that 15% self-employment tax. It would save me essentially like 15%. Now I'd have to do payrolls and some other stuff, and that's fine. But really it's a sole proprietorship anyway. Like I own everything. Nobody owns any piece of it whatsoever. And so it's an LLC taxed as a sole proprietorship. It's just kind of, yeah. But the point is, I could get around that 15% self-employment tax by structuring it as an S corporation. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and realistically, like, I probably overpay taxes, right? I really genuinely do. So, I would rather overpay taxes than underpay and worry about that. I have OCD anxiety about it, so. Anyways. The news is a little bit too much for me here. Oh. Yeah, again, like, I'm not even claiming, like, some people have been like, oh, you make millions a year. And it's like, no, I don't make that much. I wish I made that much. Like, I do well. Like, I make 6 figures, but I'm not even going to say how much. But I'm not, like, again, there's a price to honesty, I think. I try to be honest with people. There's a price to it. If I pretended to be better than I was and started slanging courses about trading to people and, mentorship programs, I'm sure I could make much more, but it's all good. The price you pay. Yeah, well, no, I was actually talking to my wife about that. I might hire my wife. I'm going to hire my kids. They spend all my money anyway. And so, I'm going to find something for them to do. I've tried to hire my daughter before. But my daughter has what we call embarrassitis in my family, where she's embarrassed about everything and anything. And so I'm not going to force her to do anything. She can do whatever she wants to do. But she's not at the age where she wants, like, yeah. I told her she can actually edit. She's done some school projects where she can actually, like, edit things very, very well. Very, very well. And so maybe some editing stuff, Hey, what's up, Beach Bum? Nah, I'm not giving anybody equity in anything. Even Carol. Like, Carol and I are married. But she doesn't own anything. Even in Texas, which is like a community property state in which you're supposed to, everything's split with your spouse, right? But she signed off on this business saying she doesn't own anything and that it's taken out of community property and it's only mine. Just because, like, again, I've had some experiences in which I want to be the sole owner of this business. It's hard to explain. Anyways, stock market news today, chat. Stock market news. So basically, we had a strong performance in the first 3 quarters of 2024. The S&P is up about 21% in the first 3 quarters of this year. The market is entering its 4th quarter today with cautious optimism. Investors are watching labor market data from last week, how they were much better than expected payroll numbers. Like, the payroll data was much, much better than expected last week. A lot of people are wondering how that's going to affect the Fed's decisions. If we look at the CME Watch tool regarding the Federal Reserve here. Whoa. Wow. Whoa. Hey, guys. So, when did this pivot so much, guys? Oh, okay. Okay, so this pivoted. Look at the change. Okay, so what this changed to, it took me a little while to really register what this was. But like look, so this is the change that they made here. So look, so now, as of now, in November, 50 basis points is not even an option. There's not even an option for 50 basis points. And so what we have here is that there's an 11% chance that we pause interest rates, that we pause rates again in November, meaning no rates, meaning no rate hikes, or meaning no cuts. No cuts. So there's an 11% chance currently that we do nothing. We pause. We don't do any rate decision. Now there's a 90% chance we cut by 25 basis points. And so there's a 90% chance we cut 25 basis points. And we'll see what happens there. But that's basically how the probabilities have skewed following Friday's massive economic reports, right? Like, remember, payroll data came out Friday, and it was freaking crazy. Payroll data came out here. You can kind of see it here. It came in at 254,000. 80% plus better than the 140K expected. Last time it was 142. And this is in a period where everybody's screaming economic weakness, right? Everybody's like, oh, it's the end of the world. The market's going to crash, blah, 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 right? But unemployment dropped. Payroll numbers came in 80+% better than expected. And, again, this shows less of a need to cut rates. I've been saying this, right? The risks here, guys, and this is something that we're going to have to look at for the CPI report. The risks of all these payroll numbers, like if we come down here, the risks here are inflation spiking. This is the risk here. Payrolls, inflation spikes could certainly happen here. That's the problem. That's the risk. And we'll see, chat. We'll see. Should we pause again? I guess that's a good question. Who cares what you make? Are you going to execute trades for me or cut me into your... Yeah, I mean, Chip, man, you just seem like you got a chip on your shoulder, bro. Listen, I mean, it's okay, dude. Like, it's all right, man. Listen, you're not super satisfied with your life, so you come to the chat and you just yell at John from beginner trading, and that's okay, man. Listen, I'm here for you, Chip. I really am, brother. I'm here. But I will take mildly entertaining. At least it's better than not entertaining at all, And the only reason I went into taxes, and I didn't tell people how much I make, right? But the only reason I went into taxes is so people understand the benefits of an S corporation and why I'm a dummy for not doing it a long time ago. I should have done a S corporation, but that's okay. WTF? I'm supporting you. I mean, oh, I don't know. It's hard for me to tell. Context is hard to tell, Chip. I don't know if you're yelling at me. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. John, you are our therapy. Listen, y'all are my therapy. I told my jiu-jitsu friends, I was joking around with them. I'm like, look, I'm gonna rant. Like the other day when I choked out the purple belt and he like went out, and I was kind of traumatized for him. I'm a big wimp, I guess, but I was kind of traumatized from it because, like, it was gnarly and it was gross. Like, yeah, it was bad. And afterwards, I was kind of traumatized for it. I told my jiu-jitsu friends, I was like, hey, I'm gonna tell my whole stream about this, and I'm not gonna mention names, of course. I'm not gonna put the dude out there, but y'all are my therapy. John's therapy is right here. Y'all won't tell anybody, right? Anyways, let's see Apple. Apple down a little bit. Apple went up to 230s. It's dipped a little bit this morning. I'm not sure why it's down. I have to look at the news. AMD testing highs of pre-market. AMD, guys. I don't know if y'all have seen AMD recently. AMD has been on a tear. Like, look at this daily chart. AMD has been outperforming a lot of other stocks in the stock market. AMD up to 170 plus. That is the high of the last few months. Really, it's outperforming a lot of stuff here. My finger is better. Oh, you mean my pinky finger? This one right here? Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. It's just jiu-jitsu injuries. All right, Tesla at 248.60s. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I hear it, Pawn. When I heard Chip's comment, it sounded more like, who cares, bro? Are you going to do trades or what? You're only mildly entertaining, you know? Like, that's how I heard it. I don't know if that's the right way to hear it, though. Maybe I'm just pessimistic, you know? Or see things under a negative light. I don't know. Hey, what's up, David? Hope you're doing good, brother. Good morning, Beach. What's up, dude? All right, guys. So, yeah, again, today, tomorrow, pretty boring. All right, guys. Yeah, so we're here. All right. What else we got, chat? Do y'all see anything else? Other big news today? I know it's earnings season week. I'm checking up the rest of the news. A lot of stuff going on overseas. I'm wondering what oil is doing. See where oil's at right now. Oil spiking up again today. There must be some type of geopolitical conflict news or something. No, oil's been spiking up for the last few days. Honestly, if you want to gauge predictability, I know something that a lot of swing traders do is they try to predict conflicts overseas, right? Because to a certain extent, you can kind of see the writing on the wall with some of them. And so what they do is they get in ahead of that. They like front load into oil, right? Because oil is, whenever you have conflicts overseas, right? And there's more red tape surrounding, you know, the countries and the different countries overseas, especially specifically like the Middle East, and there's conflicts and everything like that, what happens is that the price of oil generally spikes. The reason it spikes is because it's more scarce whenever there's more red tape, right? The more red tape there is over there, and I'm just using red tape as like a broad brush term to mean like the harder it is for us to buy oil from some of these Middle Eastern countries, the more scarce it is, and in turn the higher price for oil goes. And if you look at like oil futures here, that's what you see today. And really, that's what you see for the last, like, since the beginning of October, or since October of last year, oil, or no, I'm sorry, that's the wrong oil. This is oil. One thing that you see is that since the beginning of October, really, since the beginning of October, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red days, or green days in a row. And so oil on this geopolitical stuff has been spiking up, and it's important to understand that correlation, because a lot of people make a living basically predicting conflicts and front loading into oil from it and riding it up. So sorry, let me pull up. Yeah, I'm here. All right, so Mullen stock is down 2.4% after the company announces cost cuts, including 20% of headcount. Honestly, how is Mullen still around as a company, guys? How is Mullen still around? Like, who is actually buying this company? I gotta know, right? Like, who is buying this company? This company has been split so much that it literally has a price per share. What is this number? 217 space. Nope. Okay, 1. That's 100,000s. 2. That's millions. This has 2,178,000,000 in price. Literally 2,178,000,000 in price. It's been split so much that the highs of the stock are in the billions, you know, which is crazy, right? It was never, to put it into perspective, it was never actually in the billions. It's been split so much, like they've influenced the price. They've reverse split so much is what I meant to say. It's been reverse split so much that when you look back at the historic, at the history chart on the daily chart, it shows billions in price, which just means that this company has been so weak they've needed to reverse split it over and over and over and over and over again to try to artificially push the price of the stock up, most likely so they don't get delisted. But, you know, again, guys, like, if you know the car in National Lampoon's Vacation that the dad rents, and it's like breaking down all the time, and it's like a super unknown car company. I'm not saying that's Mullen, but there's some correlation. There's some comparisons, I should say, there. Anyways, we also have some news for Chevron. Chevron sells Canada oil sand shale assets for $6.5 billion. It relates to Chevron's 20% interest in Athabasca oil sands project and a 70% holding in the Duvernay shale, both located in the Canadian province of Alberta. So they are again selling one of their stakes there. The all-cash transaction has an effective date of September 1st and is expected to close during the fourth quarter, subject to regulatory approval. It comes as Chevron, and this is all quoting from a news, I believe, from Bloomberg. From Bloomberg. The asset sale comes as Chevron focuses its growth plan increasingly in other parts of the world, notably the Permian Basin in the U.S. and the Kazakhstan, where $48.5 billion expansion project is nearing completion. So that's going on. We have key U.S. yields hit 4% for the first time since August on Fed Rethink. So key U.S. Treasury yields are back at 4%, a level not seen since August after blowout jobs reports forced traders to reassess the outlook for monetary policy. And the thing to understand about this, guys, right, is okay, so here's what you got to know about interest rates, right? I'm going to put like 10-year interest, 10-year yields up here. This is 10-year yields. Where to go? TNX, there it is. So these are 10-year yields. Right, this is the 4% they're talking about since August. Now, I don't know which yields they're talking about. I'll have to go back. Yeah, so the 10-year. So this is what you have to understand. As the Fed pushes for low interest rates, as interest rates drop, right, i.e. rate cuts, like an aggressive Fed with rate cuts, the Fed bringing interest rates down. As rates drop, a couple things happen. Bond prices increase and yield prices decrease. So as interest rates go down, yields go down with it, is basically the understanding here. As interest rates drop, yields go down with it. Now, opposite to that, if interest rates do not go down as much as expected, like a change in the expectations regarding the Fed decisions, right? So if rates do not go down as much as anticipated, and we pivot from 25 basis points and 50 basis points being the two probabilities to a pause and 25 basis points being the next thing, basically a more restrictive Fed, a less pushing for big rate cuts Fed, a Fed that does not want to push for rate cuts aggressively. And again, why the logic makes sense, right? Like payroll data shows that the economy's doing okay. Payroll numbers showed up 80% higher than expected, so payroll numbers show a relatively strong economy. And so in that regard, they have less of a need to cut rates aggressively. And so when that happens, what happens to yields? Again, yields go up, right? Why do yields go up? Because in low interest rate environments, prices go up and yields go down. In higher interest rate environments, prices go down, but yields increase. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so bond prices moving. We also have some other news here regarding a Pfizer stake. Activist Starboard Value takes $1 billion stake in Pfizer, so that's some news too. But yeah, that's the news we got going on today, guys. We'll see what happens. A lot of stuff's going on overseas. Any economic report due today or tomorrow? Not really. Like, we don't have much going on except for the big stuff this week starts Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week are packed full of stuff. Wednesday, Fed minutes report. We'll have thousands and thousands of people watching it like we always do. CPI report Thursday is massive. Right? That will have usually at least like 4,000 or 5,000 concurrent viewers watching that thing. And then Friday we have PPI, the other side. So CPI, consumer price inflation, PPI, producer price, like business inflation. Well, bonds are influenced by interest rates, and interest rates are influenced by bonds, right? They both have their own influences on each other. Is what it is. Looking at our voting polls here, 62% think CPI comes in hot, 39% say cold. And again, in theory, if payroll numbers were so strong, in theory, you could bet that CPI is going to come in high, right? Because the more spending that happens economics-wise, the stronger inflation is going to be, right? The higher inflation is going to be. When people spend more, businesses in turn raise prices. And so on the heels of last week's 4.1% unemployment and 254,000 payroll number, way higher than expected, the question moving into this week is, what does inflation, specifically CPI, look like moving forward? You know, so what does CPI look like moving forward? We got a lot of Fed members speaking this week. Fed Collins, we got Bostic, a bunch of them. Nothing really big though. And again, we got the Fed minutes report Wednesday. We also have some bond auctions. But Thursday is when the CPI report drops, and it is expected at 2.3% year over year and 0.1% month to month. So they are expecting, I do believe we're going to come in higher than this personally. Like, I don't know for sure. I'm going to guess we're going to show up at 0.2% month to month and 2.4% year to year is my guess here for CPI. But again, I might be wildly wrong. I have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. Could be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Do not copy me. Not an investment professional. But yeah, I think we're going to come in a little bit high just based off of payroll numbers. Like, payroll numbers were super high. And generally speaking, when people spend more, prices go up. And so that's my guess here. But like I said, I have no freaking idea what we get. Like, who knows? I'm trying to look to see when Powell's speaking again. I don't think he's speaking anytime soon. Jackson Hole, we had that already. Let me get AI at. Where you at, AI? Do y'all like my quiet mouse? Yeah, I'm looking at some other news. Yeah, so I'm gonna look up some news here. There's bonds. Bonds spiking up today. Again, a lot of people. I don't show bonds over 4%, but all right, guys. So wait, didn't Nike already have earnings that came out? When do Nike earnings drop? Let me see. When was the last Nike earnings? Oh, October 1st. All right, so again, some big stuff to talk about. UPS and FedEx are notable winners amid the ongoing U.S. port workers' strike. It affected, the strike has led to a shift in downward cargo. Didn't the port strikes end? Yes, the port strikes that began on October 1st ended. Dock workers on the east and Gulf Coast reached a tentative agreement with port operators on the 4th of this month, leading to suspension of the strike. It includes a proposed 62% wage increase over 6 years, although it did cause a bunch of disruptions. All right, so the end of the U.S. port strikes is likely to impact UPS and FedEx. They benefited from the disruption. During the strike, both companies saw increased demand for their air freight services as business looked for alternative methods to ship things. Because of the halted ports, it contributed to a notable rise in their stock prices with UPS and FedEx. Here's UPS, FedEx. What's FedEx's price? It's FDX. Yeah, so again, these companies are now down. You can kind of see the strike ended, a couple days ago on the 1st, I believe. Yeah, so now that the strike has been suspended, demand for air cargo services may decrease. So I'm wondering if there's a short opportunity in some of these like FedEx and UPS. I don't know for sure. I'm just kind of speculating here. You know, they did benefit a lot from the port strikes. All right, so Jefferies cut the rating on rich valuation. So shares in Apple fell 1.5% this morning. Looking at it here, they fell 1.5% after Jefferies analysts cut their ratings on the stock from buy to hold. The downgrade comes as they raise concerns about, you know, basically overestimating expectations for iPhone 16 and 17 models. Tech giants' reliance on iPhone sales, which is, you know, that makes up 52% of their revenue for the fiscal year of 2023 was iPhone sales. So basically, iPhone sales are half of their entire business. It's obviously a key factor in the revision. But yeah, so a lot of people a little bit less optimistic regarding Apple. All right, catching back up on chat here. Yeah, there's an ETF for a lot of stuff. Have you noticed Microsoft stock is so weak recently, even in this green market? Number one, Microsoft has had a tear of the year. So Microsoft is a big, I'm not sure. I have to look to see why. The Fed only controls the short end. Yeah. Inflation expectations control the long end. No. I mean, so, so the Fed controls short-term rates, short-term interest rates. It's called the federal funds rate. Eventually, it will trickle into long-term rates, right? And so the Fed controls all of it in a way. They control short-term interest rates. What they decide to do, like if they have a really dovish mentality and they lower interest rates a lot and they bring interest rates down, eventually it's going to trickle into everything like mortgages, auto loans, everything, right? Yeah, and again, you know, if you guys heard me before the Fed cut rates 3 weeks ago, I was pushing for less rate cuts, right? Like even though I just bought a house, and in theory, buying a house, like lower mortgage rates could cause prices to go up on houses, you know, in theory, right? But in theory, that's what's going to happen. But that's not a certainty. And if we do pivot away from a low interest rate pushing Fed, then, you know, we could get corrections in real estate prices, which again are going to short term be less favorable for me. But even still, I think the biggest problem we've seen over 5 years is inflation. And so I'm okay with a restrictive Fed getting inflation under control, even if it means some people are unhappy. And I know that might not be a popular stance by me, and I get it. But again, people act like low interest rates are going to always benefit people, and they're not. They're going to cause problems in their own way. You know, it's going to make inflation worse, not better. A low interest rate environment. Yeah, I'll cover Robotaxi event on Thursday. Yeah, we'll cover it. Yeah, we got the Robotaxi event on Thursday night too. Yeah, for sure. Thank you. You're right, but to a degree. Yeah, I mean, again, like, so I talk about this a lot. I wish I had a way to write on the screen. Oh, I do. Okay, I think I do. Yeah. Okay. So, like, an example of this is, okay, so a couple things contributed to high inflation. What caused high inflation? Let me see if I can shrink this a little bit. Can I? Can I shrink it? Yeah, I can. Okay, cool. What caused high inflation? All right, we'll put this right here. What caused high inflation? Number one, low interest rates. Number two, stimulus checks. Number three, money printing / QE. All right, quantitative easing is when the Fed creates, like, prints money through creating online bank reserves and then using those bank reserves to buy up bonds and other financial assets, injecting liquidity. But ultimately, all this stuff caused inflation, right? So all of this stuff caused inflation. All of this right here is what caused inflation in 2020, right? Post 2020 plus, these are the things that caused the inflation spikes that we saw, right? And that's really the reason most people are unhappy, is because, you know, if you look at prices have gone up obscene amounts. They've gone up crazy high amounts, and it's just causing things to be unaffordable for most people out there, right? Like, again, 100K used to mean something. It's not anymore. That's the real reason, like, people are unhappy. And so the risk here, if the Fed cuts rates too early, right? The risk if the Fed cuts early, inflation could spike, right? We'll put too much or too early. Inflation could spike, right? Like, that's the risk. And that's going to make inflation worse, not better. You know, low interest rate environment's not necessarily going to make things better. Now, there's good and bad things, just to put it into perspective, right? Yeah, so there's good and bad things. Okay, so now the good things about rate cuts. Look at NVIDIA pop up. I want to see if NVIDIA is going to lead the SPY or the NASDAQ up with it. Here's the SPY. Here's the Q. They're both red on the day, but NVIDIA is testing the previous closing price, trying to go green. So we'll see if it does that or not. Yeah, so what was I going to say? What was I going to say? Okay, yeah, oh yeah. So the good thing about rate cuts, there's a lot of good things, right? So rate cuts stimulate the economy. They bring interest rates down. When people have basically cheaper access to leverage unlocked through low interest rates, they spend a lot more money. They spend more money. That's what they do. When you can get cheaper loans, you buy more houses, you spend more money, and this might have a good effect on rent, right? So like the big complaint is rent prices are high, mortgages or interest rates are too high, so you can't really get a cheap house right now in terms of lending. You can't really rent for very cheap either, and so rent prices and everything are negatively affected by it. But if, and again, the reason that's happened to a certain extent is because expenses have gone up, right? Because of inflation. Inflation has risen. Expenses have in turn risen. And in order to compensate for it, landlords increase rent. They increase stuff like that so that they can compensate for the increased expenses that they're specifically facing. But by lowering interest rates, you know, one of the things that we might see is a more competitive market in that regard. More people are going to be able to get mortgages. And, you know, it could help those markets a little bit as well. It might not, though. It could also make it worse, right? Like, in theory, lower interest rates could cause more people buying homes, right? So if more people buy houses, in theory, real estate prices could go up, not down. If real estate prices go up, not down, obviously rent typically follows it long term. And so that's a aspect of it you want to understand, too, and pay attention to that part of it. Yeah, definitely. I forgot to mention stimulus checks, Sam. That's definitely, so the stimulus checks definitely contributed to it. And that's one of the reasons we had such a massive inflation spike as well. But yeah. What do you guys think? Do you guys think we should pause next meeting? Do you guys think we should cut 25 basis points? Do you think we should cut 50 basis points? How much do you guys think we should cut in November, next month? What do you guys think we should do? Break in shipping chain leading to lower demand or lower supply and increased demand. 100%. Shipping was also a problem. You know, again, the pandemic did a lot of stuff that affected everybody. I'm probably not going to vote at all, to be completely honest. I'm just probably not going to vote at all. I'm not super into politics, you know. No cut. What do you be? Skip, pause, cut 25, hike 25. I don't think we're gonna hike. I don't think we should ever hike right now, but I don't think we should necessarily cut aggressively either. I'm okay with 25. You know, and that's kind of been changed my tune. Like, really, if you guys heard me 3 months ago, I was pushing for I would be pushing for rate hikes. But again, like, you got to understand. Okay, so while for me, I think raising rates can be good and it can help a lot of stuff right now in regards to inflation, right? There's always risks. If you keep interest rates too high for too long, stuff breaks. And again, the only time prices ever actually go down are when we actually enter into a recession. And so Obviously, people don't want a recession, and I think that's a scenario in which might be good for inflation but bad for everybody else. You know, it would be good and bad. It would be, again, I'm not going to say a recession is good, but one thing that recessions do very well is that they control prices, right? Prices don't really spike like that in recessions. They usually go down. If you look back, again, I show this graph all the time, but if we look at a CPI inflation graph, and again, the next CPI report is this Thursday. Thursday, we get the next one of these, right? So we'll see where we're at. But if you look at the only time prices have ever actually gone down, it was when we were in the 2008 recession. Is the last time prices really went down like that. And so that's what a lot of people got to understand as well. That's the biggest time prices actually go down. And so it's something to understand. Everything depends on the unemployment claims on the 10th. No, not at all. That's definitely not true. No offense, but I believe you're looking at, on the 10th, we have jobless claims. That's a weekly unemployment filings report. It's not a very big report. I mean, it's somewhat relevant, but everything certainly doesn't rest on jobless claims on Thursday. What the biggest report is on Thursday, but it's not jobless claims. It's CPI inflation. Like jobless claims, we might get like 1,500 people watch jobless claims here. CPI will have 4,000 or 5,000 at least, usually. And so it's not something in which jobless claims is a weekly report. So it comes out weekly. So in terms of influence, it's not the biggest, right? It's something that happens every week. It's relevant, but it's not anything where it's not going to break the market. Jobless claims numbers are not going to break the market, right? Now, one thing that could break the market is, again, specifically CPI. CPI inflation data, a gauge on inflation, especially after the super high payroll count we got Friday. That's the one this week. That's what you want to pay attention to. It's Thursday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll stream it all live right here like we always do. That is what you want to watch. Thursday CPI report is what you want to watch. What are your predictions for the market at the end of this month with earnings and the I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know what earnings do this week. Yeah, I mean, I hear you, Robert. But again, I think you're really politically biased is my guess. Like, I'm not saying the economy's doing amazing. What I'm saying is that payroll data came in 80 to 90% higher than expected. And I think it's an election year, and you're probably rooting for one side, and that one side's telling you it's the worst it could ever be. Cough, cough, elect our guy. Cough, cough, cough. Right? And again, I'm looking at the actual data. You know, I don't know whether, maybe the data's wrong. I don't know. But I think, like, it's an election year, and so I just get a lot of people that are really biased because of that, and that's okay. But I'm just looking at the actual data here. I'm not saying things are perfect. I'm saying that in terms of economic data, payrolls came in 80 to 90% higher than expected, right? And again, maybe the numbers are wrong. I don't freaking know. All I can go by off is the data, Yeah, receipts. Exactly. Yeah. And I think this is a very common thing where you see like if you get stuck on the news every day and you're just watching the news, like, look, I get it. I'm not here to judge. I'm not against you necessarily, But also, with that in mind, you can't get mad anytime I talk about, like, economic reports or economic data being higher than expected, showing a stronger economy than expected, right? Like, this is just what the economic data shows us, Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the Fed, Tesla just broke over highs. Tesla over 250. Yeah, Tesla. Well, Thursday, Tesla. Okay, so Thursday, to put this into perspective, right? Thursday, we get CPI in the morning, right? The robotaxi event is at night. So robotaxi is likely to feature a $200 or a $25,000 EV and Optimus AI robot updates. Yeah, I'm excited. But I want to see a freaking schedule. Yeah, so remarks are going to begin at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Where's Tropical Storm Milton? All right, so yeah, Milton is intensified into a Category 3. That ain't good. Yeah, as of Sunday, Milton was around 275 miles west-northwest of Mexico. It was about 805 miles west of southwest Tampa. Maximum sustained winds 85 miles per hour. Yeah, I mean, who knows where this thing's going? Another big hurricane about to hit. All right, look at nvda shooting up though. Yeah, and again, guys, like, listen, I'm not, you know, like, again, understand. It's hard for me to explain this because some people get so wrapped up in politics, right? They get so wrapped up. I think it's human nature, and I think that's what they want, is they want you to treat it like it's your football team, right? You root for it no matter what. You're rooting for it, right? Like, and I just can't get, like, I'm just not about that. Like, I would much rather just look at the data, you know, see what the data shows. And, you know, I think a lot of people get really biased about it. And, you know, so anytime you say the economy did well regarding economic reports, they get upset. And I think that's a very common thing when you're really politically biased, you know, and that's okay. Look at Tesla, guys. I'm going to put Tesla up here. So again, I don't know if this has to do with, the robotaxi event. Let's see. But look at this big spike in Tesla price. I wonder if it's going to drag everything else. Tesla up to 251s right now. Let me see if we can find some news on it. Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of people are thinking they're going to maybe unveil the Model 2. So again, Gene Munster and Brian Baker from Deepwater put out some expectations regarding Tesla's robotaxi event. It's predicting that the company will unveil a stripped-down Model 3 during the robotaxi event titled the Model 2 potentially. They think it's going to be a stripped-down version of Model 3 because Elon delayed robotaxi event to make big changes to the Cybercab vehicle. So if Musk is still making changes to the design of the Cybercab or the robotaxi, then production will likely get pushed back as well. So that's something you want to understand too. So in a Deepwater note, Munster and Baker write about Tesla, saying that they're going to specifically focus on vehicles nearing production for the event, but tease upcoming products like the Cybervan and Optimus. They expect the Model 2 production to start late next year, which he says is later than Elon's estimate during quarter 2 of 2024 earnings call. I've said this before, but Elon has good and bad things about him, right? One of the good things is that obviously he's innovative, right? But some of the bad things about Elon is that he overpromises and underdelivers. Usually he definitely pushes back time. So if you hear a specific time frame, you better believe it's probably going to get pushed back a little bit. Especially if it's like a big announcement, you see it push back a lot. Again, Musk said in the second quarter, quote, we won't go much into the product roadmap here because that is reserved for product announcement events, but we are on track to deliver a more affordable model in the first half of next year, end quote. And he said that in the second quarter earnings call. Now, obviously, I don't think we're going to see that now. They're expecting the Model 2 to start at $25K. So they expect to see a physical prototype of the robotaxi in this event. They believe the model will have a futuristic feel. Without a steering wheel, pedals, or mirrors. Additionally, the reveal will include a demo robotaxi in action summoned by the Tesla ride-hailing app and showing off its autonomous capabilities. You know, the other thing to think about here is that if the robotaxi has a Tesla app, how is this going to impact Uber, Lyft, you know, stuff like companies like that? Do you think these Cybertrucks are going to negatively impact them? And look at Tesla's rise here. Model 2, they think it's going to be about $25,000 price. It's going to be previewed, no working prototype, but a preview of it. They expect the vehicle will share similarities with the Robotaxi. Model 2 will have a steering wheel, though, pedals, mirrors, but it won't have FSD to operate. So it'll be distinguishable from the Robotaxi, but overall be similar production is what they're saying. They're also talking about a cyber van that they're going to surprise. They expect Elon will unveil plans for a fully autonomous passenger van called the Robotaxi 8 XL for 8 to 10 people. It'll be light on Tesla's signature design, and it'll be heavy on leveraging autonomy. So that's what they think. We'll see what happens, chat. We'll see what happens. I don't freaking know. But maybe that all that news is causing Tesla to go up. I'm looking at Tesla's other news here. I just don't see anything. Okay, so Tesla drops a rear-wheel drive variant of Model 3 and Model Y in Canada, following the U.S. strategy, replacing them with long-range versions. Yeah, so I'm putting this up on screen so you can see it. That news just came out. Catch it back up on chat. What's your jiu-jitsu A game look like? My A game is usually starting standing, standing, taking them down. If they shoot for a takedown on me, I'll guillotine them. Ride it. If they don't defend correctly with the guillotine, I'll ride it into mount usually, and finish with a mounted guillotine, or just take mount and like try to arm triangle them. Try to chair sit, take their back, RNC them. That's kind of my A game. If it's a gi, it depends on whether we're talking. That's a no gi game plan, right? Like that's what I do with no gi. If we're talking about a gi, I do the same thing, but I take their back and I try to grab that collar, this collar right here, and I try to spin them to the correct side and bow and arrow choke them. It's usually my A game, That's what I do the best. But again, I'm okay. I'm not saying I'm the greatest. I'm just a white belt. All right. Hey, thank you, Andrew. Yeah, look at Tesla coming up here, though. It's moving. It's moving up. Yeah, so again, the news that Tesla's going up because of this news specifically. They dropped a rear-wheel drive variant of Model 3 and Model Y in Canada. Also, NVIDIA's also pushing up. Microchips pushing up. NASDAQ moving up. Tesla moving up. Again, we have CPI this week. So CPI is going to be really, really interesting. Now, the question is, do you guys think CPI comes in higher or lower than expected? I did a poll on this earlier. So we did a poll on this earlier, and 64% think CPI comes in high. 35% think CPI comes in low. And again, the risks of payroll numbers showing what they did last week, if you read these right here, the risks of this are specifically inflation spikes, right? Inflation could spike on this data. We'll see, but inflation could spike. All right. What do you think about CPI? I'm gonna go with, again, I'm just straight up guessing, and this might change leading into it, right? But I'm gonna guess CPI shows up at I'm gonna guess CPI shows up at I'm gonna guess regular CPI shows up at 0.2% month to month and 2.4% year to year is what I'm guessing. Again, I might be wrong. Yeah, AMD has been going crazy, honestly. Like AMD has been spiking up a ton. You know, Tesla up there too. Look at Nvidia's technically green on the day. It's at 125s now. The Nasdaq up to 485s. Also, we're gonna day trade on TopstepX a little bit today. We've been having some fun trading on there recently. I believe we made some money Friday. Now's the day I like to trade because we got some volatility, but I'm also going to short, I think, a little bit right here. So we are short on TopstepX on our funded account here. I'm going to short into this with a couple micro contracts, take maybe 2 here, and see if we get a breakdown. We'll give it a little bit of time. It's a longer term trade, so we're going to try to let it work. And again, the big edge, guys, if you're trying to get funded, is Topstep. Topstep, the best rules in the game for funded traders, in my opinion. They give you a demo, test your skill with the demo. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. In this case, the base one's 49 bucks. They give you a 50K demo. You got to make 3K without losing 2K, so it's a reasonable 2 to 3 ratio. And the big part is, like, once you're funded, some of the best rules in the game, you can add to losses, as well as there's no commissions on TopstepX. And so you can kind of see I can make $8, $5.50, $8, $20, and still net profit 74 cents in fees per trade with micro contracts on TopstepX. Again, the biggest edge in funding. And again, a great way to help support the channel. But they're a sponsor of mine. They pay me money. I'm biased, of course. But if you want to check them out, here's the link. Again, we got into one trade. We're just kind of waiting. They've paid out over $40 million. Understand CFTC 4.41. Hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations, guys. All right, guys, so we're up 10 bucks here in this trade. Trying to get a couple little trades in to make some money. See if we can fall down some and take some profit. We got a cushion. We're in 2 contracts. The AMD breaking out. Pull this back up a second. There's AMD. Yeah, AMD's been so strong the last few days, but again, Tesla's been moving as well. Tesla up there. So now we're actually down. I don't really want to add to this, so we'll keep it small. We're short here with 2 contracts, so it's pretty small. I do like this move. I just gotta wait, I think, for it. The range is small. It is Monday, you know, so it's Monday morning. I watch the Dixie a lot. How does anyone else look at the Dixie? I look at the Dixie on payroll reports and stuff like that. Dollar index is good to watch, but there's you got to understand the nuances of it. All right. Well, this is taking too long. What is with Apple and Amazon? Well, Apple's down because they got downgraded, basically a downgrade. No, so I'm trading futures contract. In the futures market, there's no PDT rule. You can day trade short. Most pro day traders should be trading futures because there's no PDT rule. I can day trade now. I can buy market orders, trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies, no PDT restrictions. Again, most day traders should be trading futures, in my opinion. But everybody's different. Depends on a lot of different stuff. Yeah, Topstep is now averaging $1 million a day in payouts. Their website. You know, I didn't even know that. Where do you see that, Pawn? That's crazy. All right, so we're back down to where we're essentially flat here. All right, so we're back basically flat again. I thought we would probably come back down. That's why I wanted to wait here. Yeah, so I am going to be on TopStep TV next week. So we're going to be on TopStep TV next week. You just got to wait. And we'll be on there. I'm going to go ahead and add, I think, a little bit to this now up here. I like this kind of triple top here. There we go. So we're in 3 contracts now. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, we've been using AI to build some cool stuff. Now we're going to have to cut it. We took our nice little risk here, but it's just taking too long. Like, I don't mind the slowdown in momentum, but I think a lot of it also depends on, like, NVIDIA here. So, like, NVIDIA is what's leading this movement here, but NVIDIA is sitting right at the previous closing price. So that makes me not like this trade as much. I still could be patient and wait, and I think we're about flat on this position now, which is good, but there goes NVIDIA falling. That should help us. There we go. All right, we just need a little bit more. We're at the bottom of the range now, and the good news, all right, so we're gonna take a piece off of there, just limit our risk. You know, lock in some profit. Wait, now we got 2 contracts left, and as NVIDIA falls, this should fall with us. Who knows though? CPI comes out Thursday. So CPI comes out on Thursday. Bitcoin back up to 63K. That's been good. It's better than it's been. This is taking too long. We'll see if the NASDAQ finds a slowdown here. I'll come back to this trade. It's taking too long. NASDAQ, we got to see if NASDAQ slows some. We're flat on the trade. I'll be honest about the trade too. It's not like I'm not going to show you. It's just sitting here. You know, because again, what we're really trading in futures is the QQQ. Right, so we're really trading this price action, and so NVIDIA has to drop enough to drag the NASDAQ down with it. Oh, there we go, we did. Okay, good. You know, I'm gonna let this work. Instead of taking like a $15 gain, I would rather just let this work a little bit. And even if I break even or down a little bit, I think that's okay. I think the reward is good enough potentially, even if it turns on me, which it kind of is now. Right now we're basically flat. Yeah, we're gonna be on the show. I'll give you guys more of an updated. I think it's gonna be next Tuesday. I'm pretty sure. I've been on there a couple times before, so look at NVIDIA flush here. This should be good for my trade. I'm gonna add to this too as it pops up with NVIDIA flushing like it is. Yeah, we got to cut it now. So we ended up adding to it and losing. We lost about 20 bucks now, unfortunately. We just got that big spike up. It's weird. So, like, here's something that's definitely changed the last few weeks. We lost like 20, yeah, 20 bucks, 30 bucks. Here's something that definitely changed. Okay, so the NASDAQ here used to follow NVIDIA hook, line, and sinker. Like, it used to follow NVIDIA very, very, very close, right? It would follow NVIDIA very, very close. Recently, NVIDIA hasn't been as much sway over markets, right? NVIDIA has been flushing down for the last like 15 minutes, and the NASDAQ's been pushing up. Now, it could be a lot of different reasons. I know Tesla specifically today is on a tear, right? Like, here's Tesla. Tesla's been on a tear, so Tesla's been moving. Apple is bouncing back up the last 20 minutes. Microsoft is still down. What about Google? Google's still at 170s. Hey, what's up, Snow? I'm good, man. Life's good, bro. Can't complain, you know. Just kind of closed on a rental property. We're kind of building that up now, figuring out there. I might train there for a little while we get... We're not going to put tenants in there. We got to do a lot of stuff with it before we can put some tenants in there. But, yeah, so basically it's unhitched from NVIDIA, which is interesting, right? I used to watch NVIDIA a lot with my future trades. I can't really watch it like that anymore. I have to just pay attention to what the NASDAQ is doing. It's also kind of slow, so the payroll numbers are putting a hitch in markets. They've been kind of weird. CPI comes out Thursday, too, so we'll see if that moves stuff. Tesla, AMD, Palantir, other stocks so high pushing SPY NAS. Well, Palantir, wait, Palantir did get added to it, didn't it? I forgot about that. So PLTRC, and I would have made money on the NASDAQ as well, dude. See, this is something, like, look at this, bro. Like, I really have to gauge this. And this is certainly intentional. Like, I'm usually right about direction. If I notice this, like, look, I'm usually pretty consistently right about direction here. Like, I honestly am. Anybody that pays attention knows. Like, I'm usually pretty good about direction. But I get faked out on these levels. Remember, I was shorting right here. And look, there's the big breakdown. And again, there's NVIDIA's flush down too. So I would have made money on this trade. I just got scared out of it. Again, I got to have more resilience towards these movements. Yeah, life's good, man. Life's good. I got a beautiful family. I got, beautiful kids, beautiful wife, beautiful family, man. You know. I can do something I enjoy every morning. You know, people appreciate what I do. You know what I mean? Like, we can make more money than a lot of people sitting here talking about the stock market every day. It's a blessing. It really is. I'm very, very grateful. I just got to try to... I feel like if you have a mentality of gratefulness, good things happen. Right? I feel like if you have a mentality of, like... I really do. Like, I say it every freaking day. And if I could pass anything off to anybody... you get what you put out there, man. If you're mean and if you're negative, if you're cruel, if you don't take care of people, if you're selfish, you get that tenfold back, right? But if you're nice to people and you're good to people and you treat them well and you're kind to people, you get that back tenfold. I see this a lot with people I grew up with, right? Like people I grew up with, some of them are they're still just blaming their situation on anybody and everything they can. They're not really being accountable for themselves and their own mistakes, right? Like I've did a lot of dumb stuff in my life. I know people that did a lot of dumb stuff too. The ones that ended up like building stuff are the ones that recognize, like, I think going through stuff in life is good. I know some people that haven't really gone through anything, right? Like, I know some people, like my family life wasn't perfect for sure, but it also wasn't like horrible either, right? Like on the standard, like I've met people that have had such a worse experience in life. And so you got to be grateful that, if you come out on the top 50%, then you're doing good, But I know a lot of people that complain and they try to exaggerate how things were to get attention and to, I don't know. I think you got to just be good to people. You got to just be happy and try to put good things out in the world. Beautiful viewers, most 90%, top 3 most beautiful viewers in the world. I would say, regarding my people here, Yeah, because you aren't sitting around whining, wasting opportunities. Yeah, for sure. Life's hard, man. It's difficult. There's also an element of luck for sure. In anything and everything, and so you just gotta take advantage of it when you can. And like I was doing taxes, like, right, this is something my wife and I had a conversation yesterday, and it's a probabilities game, guys. It really is. So like I was doing taxes, right, and one of the pleasant things for last year is last year I tried a lot of different businesses. Like I tried a couple software businesses that ultimately failed. They were based around AI, and I just ended up wasting, like, I think I spent, like, just on failed software endeavors last year, it was like $14,000 that I spent on software stuff. And again, what happened was that AI had come out. I was trying to produce an AI-based software. And so I was paying these developers to do it, and the developers were, they weren't bad, but they were also very slow, and I think they were kind of learning, and, like, I don't know. And so by the time they finished working on the software, which ended up being freaking 4 months later, they basically AI had evolved to a point in which it rendered the software that I was creating obsolete, right? You could do everything that I was having them do essentially from ChatGPT now. You can just do it from ChatGPT. You don't need a standalone website for it anymore. And that changed because when in the beginning ChatGPT couldn't do all that stuff. ChatGPT's updates basically cost me $14,000, which is okay, But again, like I was talking to my wife about it. The point is, they say 1 out of every 6 businesses succeed. So you're going to fail at 5 out of 6 businesses, right? And the problem is most people start a business and then they fail at it. And then they give up and they don't start it again, and they cry that it's rigged, and they cry that it doesn't work, and they blah, 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 right? But it takes multiple tries. Like, you're not going to just throw it unless you get incredibly lucky. You're not going to take a swing and hit it the first time, But you'll learn a little bit from each time. That's the benefit. You'll learn a little bit as you do it. And so I don't mind spending that money. It saved me money in taxes. It's a write-off, right? I could write it off anyway. And so that's where you get into, like, a good scenario where, like, I can try to make businesses. If I fail, it's a write-off. If I don't fail, then obviously I don't fail. But you got to try to start stuff, like you got to try stuff. That's the nature of life. Most of them fail, but if 1 out of 6 succeed, 1 out of 6 is doable. Like, here's the market bouncing right back up. So we're kind of flat right now. We're kind of flat. Yeah. Right. No, you got to try it. And again, 14,000, relatively. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a small amount of money, but it's certainly not going to change my life losing it. I'm trying to start a video game console rental business for birthday parties. What do you think? Listen, what do I know? Right? I'm not going to. I don't want to rain on your parade here, brother. But I would argue that you want to think bigger than that. That's a very small business, right? You don't want to get stuck in the purgatory of side hustles. Side hustles are cool, but they're not scalable. Like for me, an example of this is, like, I don't want to start a business that makes me 50 to 100K a year. I don't need that. I don't want that. I want to start a business that makes me 10 million a year. So if I'm going to start something, it needs to be scalable. Right? It has to be scalable. It can't be something small like a side project. I think people get lost in side hustles. That doesn't mean anything, right? It's not consistent. If you got to work your butt off to make 100K a year, I'm not saying it's not good, but it's going to limit you so much. You got to think scalability, and I think something like that is not scalable. Personally, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't understand it. It's possible. I'm just looking at the inside of it, or I'm just looking at the outside concept of what you said. But it just doesn't seem scalable to me. Yeah. Hey, buddy, I'm new to trading. Can you help me understand if U.S. non-farm payrolls and unemployment numbers, are these good or bad for the market? So it's not really, market-wise, the reaction that we get from all this stuff varies, right? It really does vary. It can be good or bad, depending on what the market wants or doesn't want at any given time, right? A couple years ago, high payroll numbers like this would be seen as a terrible thing because of inflation risks that we get from it. Right now, economic strength is good, and so the market responded positively to it for the most part. Non-farm payrolls are exactly what they sound like. They're jobs. Right? So non-farm payrolls are jobs that aren't working at farms. They're payroll numbers. They're people getting paid that aren't job, or that aren't farms related, that aren't farm related. So non-farm payrolls are just jobs, right? Essentially, when you boil it down. This number came in. It's all relative to expectations. And so the expected number was 140, We ended up showing 254, 80% better than expected. And so it's all relative to expectations, and the numbers came in way better than expected here, way better than expected. And so what does that mean? That means a stronger economy than expected, right? And generally that's good, right? Generally that's good. You don't want to get lost in bias too. It's an election year. And so anytime you even mention that the economy, quote unquote, might be good, you're going to have super biased political people coming out the woodwork screaming and yelling. It's like, oh, you know, because why? Because it's an election year. And so one side's going to say it's the greatest it's ever been. The other side's going to say it's the worst it's ever been, right? Neither of those things are true. We're somewhere in the middle right now. Things aren't necessarily good because of inflation that we've had over 5 years. Rent is high. Mortgages are hard to get for good prices and good interest rates. Restrictions are higher in mortgages, you know, so less people are able to buy homes right now. Inflation has gone up to where people are paying, you know, 50 to 75% more than they were 5 years ago. And so all things considered, like, the economy has been somewhat good, but not perfect, and inflation has been a problem. You know, is the real nature of the economy right now. But in terms of unemployment being low is always good, right? Regardless of what the market fears, unemployment is always good. Payroll numbers drops once a month, and it just gives a gauge on economics. It gives a gauge on economics. The higher payroll numbers are, the stronger the economy is. The lower payroll numbers are, the weaker the economy is, so forth and so on. But you just don't want to get lost in political bias. It's an election year, so there's tons of it. And it mostly just stems from people watching the news. And the news, again, you got to think about it like this. One side wants to get elected. And so how do you get elected? You talk about how terrible the other side's doing, right? And so that's something that you see a lot. And again, you got to be able to recognize that and just kind of take a step back and not get too influenced by any of it. And everything they're saying isn't wrong, right? But the same thing with the other side. The other side, if you're the side that currently has power, how do you get elected? You talk about how great things are, right? And that's not necessarily true either. They're both somewhere in the middle. That's the easiest thing. And once you start to recognize the bias of election years, generally, number one, election years are almost always green. The stock market is almost always green in election years. We very, very rarely have a red election year. That's number one. Number two, we don't generally hit recessions during election years either. You know, not aside from like outliers statistics wise. Like we do have outliers, but they're rare. And so generally speaking, things go well during election years for whatever reason. Maybe it's because the pressure to stimulate the economy during election years. Maybe it's because of, you know, I don't know. A lot of reasons really. We'll go over to those in a little bit, but no, we don't have non-farm later this week. We have CPI Thursday, PPI Friday, Fed minutes report Wednesday. So payroll numbers were last Friday. So a couple days ago we had payroll numbers. Those are the numbers you see at the bottom of the screen. Hey, baby. Oh, man. Oh, no, that's not what it is. So Lost Music says, yeah, I don't think that's what it is either. It's mostly, like, there's a lot of reasons. Market's pushing up a little bit as we speak, though. Look at the NASDAQ go up. I got to start trend trading a little bit more, I think, right? Yeah, I got to start trend trading a little bit more. You know, again, there's the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's pushing up. We got Google up there, too. It's at 168.15s. NVIDIA's down there at 124s. So we got some stuff pushing up. Yeah, we're gonna be day trading sub 2. NASDAQ up there a lot. I said low unemployment is almost always good. Dream of stuff. Low unemployment is always good, not high unemployment. You know, with the exception of maybe like in markets in the economy where we really fear inflation, you know, but yeah. Yeah, so high unemployment, always typically bad. Low unemployment, always typically good. Again, Google up there. Tesla's been shooting up. We're at 251.20s right now, 251.20s. Again, it's a slowdown. Friday we had payroll numbers, came in crazy high payroll numbers. Yeah, we were about to go on a trip. So we got NVIDIA falling down a little bit. We do have this slight trend. I'm going to zoom in on this slight trend that I see here. I'm not even saying it's like a good trend, right? But here is a slight trend that we kind of see. There's a slight trend that we see here. Now, I'm not saying we're going to continue in that trend, but we kind of do see the top of the trend line here. I might try to get into like a little short position based off of this. But I also wouldn't mind us to push up a little bit firsthand. And so I got to wait for the trend to hit. We're not quite at the top of the range too, which is where I'd prefer to get in at. I'll start it off with one contract here. We'll start it off with one. And then we'll add to maybe 3 contracts tops at the top of the range. There we go. All right, 2. Is drop shipping worth it? Probably not. Right? Like the problem with drop shipping is simple. It's free money. Basically, you are being a middleman. And so being a middleman can work, but the problem is so many other people are trying to do it, and so many other people are wise to it, that it's mostly a market in which people make so much more money selling courses on how to drop ship versus actually drop shipping, you know? And so it's a market in which you gotta like, yeah, it's a market in which people make more money selling courses on how to do it versus actually doing it. It's kind of like Amazon FBA, right? A lot of people get taken advantage of with Amazon FBA because essentially they advertise it as this foolproof business, but the margins are not great. All right, there we go. We're going to take half of this off here, lock it in. But the margins are not great. They're not perfect. And people just end up getting stuck. I'm going to add to a winning position here. People just end up getting stuck, you know, falling for it, hook, line, and sinker. We're going to take some more off there regarding, again, specifically Amazon FBA. People lose so much money doing it, and the margins are not good. A lot of people in Amazon FBA are spending like $10K to make $600 a month. You know, so we were right about the top of the trend. We're just going to go ahead and get out there. And so it's a market that's tough, right? That's tough. I find it weird the market reacts to unemployment at all. Why? It's all gauging the economy. The less people that are working, the less people that can spend. The less people that can spend, the less people that buy stocks. It's a pretty easy correlation to see, I think. No? Is there something where selling a course is less than what is in the course? What do you mean? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Yeah, this is futures, is what I'm trading. Again, if you want to try it out, the futures market, no PDT restrictions. This is on TopstepX. I can take such small size and still profit because there's no commissions. It's really the biggest edge in funding right now. You can kind of see there's 0 commissions. You know, I can trade the micro contract. This is basically the QQQ. You know, it's the same thing. So you see me look at the NASDAQ, look at the Q, trade it that way. Like, that's what I'm doing here. They're a sponsor, of course. I'm biased, but, you know, they pay me money, of course. I'm biased, but I think it's genuinely pretty useful. If you want to check it out, there's the link. Most professions have teachers making less than the professions. Well, it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about a standard curriculum in a college or something, sure. But something that's taken off in the last 5 years online, maybe the last 10 years, I would say, really, where it really picked up, is paid courses, you know. And so, you know, they could, again, like, basically what it stems down to is this, okay? They understand that marketing is so good nowadays, right? They understand marketing is very good. It's very persuasive. I'll tell you the business model behind it, right? Number one, right? Marketing is very persuasive, okay? That's number one. Number two is that, with that said, with that in mind, right? With marketing being very persuasive, you can talk people into buying anything. You can talk people into buying. Number three, you set the price. 4, sensationalize. 5, profit. This is their business model. I'm not even saying I agree with this business model, but this is what they do, right? They know that marketing is persuasive. You can talk people into buying it. You can set the price, and you can sensationalize it to make people want to buy it, right? And how do you sensationalize it? You say, oh, look how great this is. Look at me. I could take $1,000 and turn it into $50K in 3 weeks. Just watch me, bro. And of course, they're not really doing this. They're not doing it with a real account. You might be able to do it with a demo account with perfect conditions, but you're not going to be able to do it with a regular account. And so people just end up falling for it. Hook, line, and sinker. They want to believe it's true. Confirmation bias, right? That's something we always talk about here, but it's true. Confirmation bias. Wanting something to be true, so you are more likely to believe it. Bro, I can't. Sheesh, dude. I'm struggling. Confirmation bias is a powerful thing. And so if you see somebody's advertisement for a drop shipper and they say, hey guys, you could be a drop shipping millionaire. You could get rich tomorrow by just drop shipping. Or, hey guys, you could create an Amazon FBA business and be a millionaire business owner, guys. You want to believe that, right? I want to believe I could buy somebody's course and be an Amazon FBA billionaire, you know? But it doesn't mean I'm going to, and it doesn't mean it's actually possible. I mean, it's possible. It doesn't mean it's probable or likely. Hey, John, do you know how long it generally takes to see the effects of the rate cut that just happened? 3 to 6 months. What do you think is a reasonable percentage one should expect per week as an active day trader? Per week, if you're really, really good, day trading, 0.5 to 1% a week. You know, net, like that means after wins and losses, maybe. But that's a pretty big ask. I'd say half a percent to 1% is typically like, you know, per week. You know, that's what, 4% a month. That's like a little bit under 50% a year as a day trader if you're really, really good. You know, it's your fault for believing that. Maybe so. Well, reselling's profitable. Like, I got most of these books from reselling, right? Like, I used to have an Amazon used book business that I operated from home. Very simple business. Reselling's a different thing. You can make money selling on Amazon without question. You can make money on Amazon FBA for sure. Like, not for sure. Let me clarify. You can make money on Amazon FBA, right? But it's not easy, and it's like, okay, like, look, I've got friends that I know, right? And I think sometimes, you know, I have friends that, you know, you see some of these businesses that they're starting, right? And what happens to them is that they get talked into it by a guru. You have these Amazon FBA gurus, right? And these Amazon FBA gurus promise riches, you know, and of course they take a little fee. They charge $5,000 or whatever it is to do it, right? To be a guru. And they do this, and they tell them that they could get riches from Amazon FBA. And so then they end up just starting these random businesses, like, that are obviously not going to succeed, you know? Like, you got to think about, when you create a business on Amazon FBA, you have to think about, like, generally, you got to think about what consumerist patterns are going to be, right? What consumer patterns are going to be, I should say. You should think about that. You know, because a lot of people are starting these businesses that people are just not going to go to third-party Amazon sellers for whatever they're selling, right? Especially like food products, like drinks, like, you know, it depends, but you got to make sure you pick the right product, I guess. And that's very difficult. That's kind of like finding a needle in the haystack because it's so saturated now because everybody's selling drop shipping and Amazon FBA courses. So it's just very difficult to do. It's not easy to do. Most people lose money at it. If you look at websites like flippa.com, you can see this. You can look at all the Amazon FBA businesses for sale, and you gotta like log in to see it. But what they'll look like is this, right? I'll show you. They look like this, right? So here's their graph of profit and losses over the months. Like, here's January, here's February, you know, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, right? So here's the month. Here's the calendar year. Right, and you'll see their profit and sales start going like this. Right, and then this is where they're trying to sell it to you. They're trying to sell it to you right there, right? Because they see the writing on the wall, right? So they see their businesses as going to fail, right? This extrapolated over the next few years, this is the end of their business, you know? And they see that, they understand that, right? But they're trying to unload it to you on flippa.com, hoping that you're dumb enough to see, like, but again, a lot of the time they won't show you this at all. They won't show you this graph. They'll just show you their total yearly sales, right? And if the total yearly sales are 1 mil, you know what? Like, let's say your margin is what, 10%, and so 10%, you're keeping $100,000 minus fees, right? So you're gonna make about $100K or whatever. Let's just call it $100K. We're not even gonna do the fee part, which is big, by the way. Or let's say $100K net after you're done, right? So that's a $100,000 a year business, right? You buy that business, you're basically making $100K. At least that's what the people buying the business think, right? But they don't understand that when you look at the long-term stats of that business is about to fail, right? Like, you're not going to make 100K next year. You might make 30K. Next year after that, you might make 10. Next year after that, you might make 2, you know, and then bam, the business is done. And so you're basically buying, you know, and who knows what price that they're going to try to sell you this business for. You see this all the time. Another way they do it is, and so again, like, if you buy up boatloads of product for this business, you're going to have an abundance of product. You're going to have way too much. You know, you're not going to be able to sell it. It's just something in which, like, most people fail. Most people fail. Most people do not make money long term with it. The other thing about Amazon is that Amazon will legitimately compete. If Amazon sees a product that you're selling that does really, really well, right? Even if you get a hot product on Amazon, if Amazon sees you selling that product and that product does really, really well, they will create their own version of it and list it themselves, right? So they're using their user data for sure on Amazon to build their own products. And so you got to compete with the big man on Amazon sometimes. And so it's just, sure, some people do it successfully. It's definitely not a majority of them, I would say. Anyways, NVIDIA pull it back. We did have this trend. I guess we finally broke out of this trend on the NASDAQ here. We got the 200 EMA right here at 485. So we got the volume weighted average price under us. Previous closing price way up there. So we're actually pretty red on the day on the NASDAQ. Tesla green. NVIDIA's down there. I feel like every data going to come in good until... Oh, maybe. I mean, we'll watch inflation data to see, to be honest. Inflation data is really important to gauge everything here for sure. Yeah, so we're going to switch to day trading, guys. We're going to get ready to day trade the market here. Alright guys, so we got day trading today. Let me pull this up. Yeah, so we're watching Tesla. Alright. Netflix got downgraded by Barclays. Yeah, that's how it goes, I think. Well, Netflix has earnings next week, I believe, right? So Netflix... This week we got some earnings. So every earnings season, when it starts, okay? So every earnings season when it starts, it always starts with one big day for bank earnings. Now, that's this Friday. So this Friday, we got a bunch of bank stocks dropping earnings. If you want to check it out, it's specifically on the 11th. We get JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, Bank of New York, Bank 7, and Fastenals all dropping Friday morning, basically on October 11th. That's a big report, a big day. And again, we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. Those bank stocks kind of lead the market in terms of reports. right? So ahead of that, we have bank earnings. After that, we get Tesla. We get all the big boys. Tesla earnings this earnings season are going to be next Wednesday, October 23rd. Or no, I'm sorry. 2 weeks from now, October 23rd. So Tesla earnings are going to spark it off like it always goes. Apple earnings are going to be, so basically all the earnings are going to be this month. Apple earnings are going to be on Halloween on October 31st. Apple, October 31st. Amazon, October 31st. Are these actually, I have to look, let me see. So most of these are going to be, I want to see the confirmed dates. SoFi, Snapchat. Alright, so we got Meta on October 30th. Okay, so they haven't actually confirmed. Oh, wait. Okay, so they've confirmed Apple, but they haven't confirmed Amazon yet. All right, so Netflix earnings are in 10 days. Analysts are mixed. It was downgraded by one analyst and upgraded by another today, 10 days before the earnings for third quarter results. It's gone up 48% this year. Netflix up 48% year over year. That's a crazy gain. Tesla pulling all the way back down to 250s. So that's an interesting one. MU, another one to talk about. Shares of MU are up or slightly down today after the president and CEO Sanjay plans to sell up to $20 million worth of shares of the chip maker. So is this an offering? Let me see. So, okay, so CEO is selling shares. So this is not an offering. This is him just selling shares. Regarding MU, we're looking at MU. Look at that support level we drew right here. We bounced directly off of it. MU's still down on the day too. I guess my bias is on the upside today, but who freaking knows what's going to happen. All right, so yeah, so Friday. I'm trying to see what we have, not next week, but the week after next. That's when the big earnings week starts. Tuesday, Verizon, RTX. Tuesday evening. Nothing really, though. Yeah, so Tesla's going to be on the 23rd. I'm trying to see what else we got that week. Thursday. Yeah, so earnings season's here, but it's going to take a little bit of time. All right, there's the market coming back up. So yeah, Friday they're projecting. Friday, JP Morgan expecting $4.04 a share EPS on 41.27 billion, minus 33.1% growth. Wells Fargo expecting $1.27 a share EPS on 20.4 billion. BLK expecting $10.17 a share on 5.12 billion. Those are the big ones. Yeah, we'll cover all of them. We'll cover all the big earnings reports like we always do here, chat. Yeah, so we'll cover all the big ones like we do. Amazon, guys, spiking up a little bit today. So I don't know if this is dragging the market up, but look at Amazon here. We're at 184.50s. 184.50s. Alright guys, we're coming down a little bit. The NASDAQ at 485, so we did bounce directly off of that volume weighted average price level. Look at that. I guess the insurance company are tired of... Yeah. So again, we got this big move up. We still have about 20 minutes. I'm going to short right now. I think we've gone up enough, even though the momentum might say the opposite. I'm going to take 2 contracts here short, and then maybe add some more. I just think we're at the very top of the range, just a little bit sideways. I'll add some more too if we move back up. Get maybe 4 contracts here. We're trying to take larger swings on this account. Right, so we have 4 contracts now. Oof. Big move up and then a retracement. Maybe a little bit too large a size by me, but I like the potential for a breakdown here, just based off of how much we've gone up. Alright, so now we're flat on this position. See if we break down a little bit more like we want. There we go. The breakdown. I'm going to go ahead and limit some of the size here. There we go. Lock some in. We got the breakdown we wanted. Might add a little bit more if we retrace up a little bit. Okay, we're gonna add to that 2 contracts now. See if we follow it back down. Boom. Alright, so we just made basically all our money back. We caught the downward pressure here, so we were correct about a direction again. Should be green on the day now. I don't know for sure though. Yeah, we're green on the day. Nice. All right, cool. So another green day starting out the opening bell. Watch for the open. Well, yeah, we're always gonna watch for the open, but you know, we'll see. Yeah, I'm green today, so that's nice. And again, this is the big edge of TopstepX, which is there's no freaking commissions, right? There's no commissions. Stocks to watch only. Do not buy or sell. Yeah, I'm not really a big hotkey trader. I don't want to accidentally click a button, so it might just be anxiety. But yeah. Again, this is the big edge on Top Step though. There's freaking no commissions. I can day trade, short, buy market, sell market. Get in with no commissions. Great way to learn how to day trade with limited risk. It's the right way to do it, I think. You know, again, if you want to check it out, they're a sponsor of mine, like I always tell you. But I might short this move here. I don't know if I want to yet. I'm waiting. Kind of a big range. Amazon at 184, so we're watching Amazon. Is there anything else that looks good? I'll put this up. Yeah, I'm worried that I'm gonna like accidentally bump and like click something, and it's gonna completely like enter a 10 contract position or something crazy like that. I don't want to get. That's what I don't want. I don't want to fall into a trap like that. All right, so we'll be moving that down. Alright, so we're sideways still. We're pretty, again, we're down big. I'm trying to see if there's a reason for us being down big. I'm looking at Amazon. Alright, so we're moving down a little bit. The NASDAQ 45s. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to get I could probably get it set up in TopstepX. Let me see. So where do you get this set up in TopstepX? I don't mind getting that hooked up too, because I wouldn't mind trading that either. All right. So we got this double top here. You see the double top here and here. Now we're still a little bit underneath that, but part of me wants to short this now. It's taking too long up here. I'm gonna short this. 2 contracts. We're basically flat on the day. We're slightly up, just a little bit, very small amount. And I'll get into 3 contracts here. Top right, probably in settings. After this trade, I'll get it set up. So what are you guys dressing up for Halloween as? Y'all know yet? We're kind of slow this morning heading into the open, guys. We're not really moving much. There we go. Take that off. Lock it in. And take that off. Alright. Not bad. Not too shabby. Again, you can kind of see the theses I have. Usually, I'm not going to say I'm always right. Right? Definitely top 3 most right ever. But usually in terms of directions, I think I'm definitely over 50% in terms of my predictions. Now, managing the trade is a different story, and I think that's where I kind of mess up. All right, so we did end up bouncing back up. You think you're smart until you gotta use somebody else's shower, dude, and it freaking turns into a mess. I was using the upstairs shower here in my own house, and like, the logic of the shower just doesn't make sense. It's not practical. Very sideways range right now, though. We're just not doing anything here, man. This is boring. Ray Dalio. Yeah, it's just kind of boring. Bluey. Bluey family? What does that mean? Oh. Yeah. Captain Jack Sparrow. Oh, I asked for Halloween costumes. Party Super at gold. Okay, hey, I'm just going to tell you, Alden, do not base your investments on the information you gather from this channel, because I have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. I'm wildly wrong about everything. Don't copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. Trade responsibly, chat. In the end, again, top 3, I have no idea what I'm freaking talking about. Don't copy me. Again, we're so sideways right now. This is the range here, guys. Like, I've somehow made money today, but this is the range here. It's literally this right now, guys. It's up, down, up. This is it. That's it. I don't know how I'm even supposed to make money. I copy you all the time. Hit me, baby, one more time. Okay? But don't copy me. Again, you should never copy me. Ever. Never in the world. Top 3 least copyable persons in the world right now. Don't do it. If you're copying somebody named Beginner Trading, obviously I'm not liable, because that's your own decision. All right, let's see if I get hotkeys set up. I'm kind of scared to do it. Honestly, I have 4 different monitors, and the problem with hotkeys is that I'm doing so much other stuff in the background. Like, y'all hear me typing away. Everybody yelled about my keyboard, how it was loud and all this stuff. But actually, in hindsight, I'm not going to get any freaking, I'm not going to get any hotkeys set up. There's too much of a risk. I'm going to be typing away on my 4th monitor over here and enter some crazy wild position. I'm just not doing it. Bro is proofing himself. Sounds like a song. You know. Choppy. I don't know. I kind of like trading the choppiness. You know, again, I've said this before. Like leading into CPI reports, like I'm gonna be looking at this a lot. Like Wednesday morning, I'm gonna be watching. Again, Wednesday morning, I'm gonna be watching for choppy neutral activity. It happens a lot during FOMC meetings because here's the market open, right? The FOMC meeting is like this, and then the FOMC meeting at 1 p.m. is right here, right? So I'll have like a little bit of time to attack chop leading into the FOMC meeting, where 8:30 like CPI report is kind of like here, you know. So the CPI report comes out super early in the morning. So unless I'm trading pre-market like this, and then 8:30 comes along here, and then we just get big volatility from the CPI report, whichever way it goes. I don't know. Palantir. Guys, still just under $40. It's at $39.90. Palantir's been moving. We are at the top of the range, and this would be a triple top. But I'm also seeing nvda start to fight its way back up towards the previous closing price. Yeah, so again, we were at Amazon at 184s. All right, yeah, y'all gotta hurry. It's like right at the opening bell. Jack, listen, every single question you answer on your math test, literally every single one, I want you to check your work, okay? I want you to check that work. You multiply it, Jack. You know how to multiply it. You understand? Every single one. If you don't check the work, again, you could get thrown off really easily, buddy. If you check the work, you'll know you'll get it right. You'll know you'll ace the test, and you'll do good, okay? All right, bud?
Are you listening, Jack?
Yeah.
Here, Jack, stop messing with this.
Hey. Check my work.
Yep, check your work.
Multiplying it.
Yep, check your work by multiplying it. All right, buddy. I love you. I love you guys. Y'all have a good day. All right.
I'm going, dropping the kids off.
All right, love you. Bye. All right, guys, we got a minute and a half. Sorry, family's coming in. Yeah, my son's got a math test today. We've been studying all weekend for it. I just told him to check his freaking work. He's just got to check the work, dude. He doesn't check his work. He's good at long division, but he just got to check it, you know? All right. Right. John, would you rather have 1 million cash or 1 million subs? 1 million subs, for sure. Without question, 1 million subs. It depends on 1 million subs without viewership doesn't get anything, right? And it's one of the reasons, like, you'll see these people with these big subscriber amounts, but they don't actually have the views to justify it. And so I would take the 1 million subscribers if we get a comparable amount of views for the content, you know, for the live streams. You know, like a good example is like, we get pretty good numbers here relative to the size of the channel. Like, we got 145,000 subscribers. big streams like CPI will have 4,000 or 5,000 concurrent viewers, like a big chunk of people watching, and total views for those streams will get like 30 or 40K. You know, so that's like 20-25% of my viewership can show up for those big streams. That's enough. That's big enough, right? But you'll see some channels with like 1 million subscribers and they just have no views, no viewership, and usually that's because like there's a lot of reasons. But it's a nuanced question. Probably 1 million subscribers. But there's the opening bell. All right, there's the opening bell. We got push-ups here at the opening bell. NVIDIA's shooting up. NVIDIA's up to 125.50s. You know, we're up to 20.15 thousand, 20.15K. Again, we're day trading on TopstepX right now. There's no PDT rule in futures. You could day trade short, buy market, sell market. No PDT restrictions on TopstepX. They give you a demo, test your skill with it. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. In this case, it's 49 bucks. Check it out. Link is in the description if you want more info. NASDAQ pushing up. NVIDIA pushing up. Big retracement candle here, though. Big retracement candle. I'm going to bet that it's going to... dude, I was just about to buy it. It's a little bit too early, actually. I'm going to wait. Usually we fill these gaps. So, like... Look, there's the gap fill. So usually we have these big up wicks and we fill it, but not always. Yep. Let's see if I'm right. Look, there's the gap fill. Yep. Usually we fill the gaps of the candle wicks, is what I meant to say. Not always, though. NVIDIA breaking highs. I'm going to let a little bit of time pass first. Yeah, my son's got to check his work with his with that type of stuff. He's got to check it. That's what I tell him with math problems. Like long division is what it is. I just told him, look, you check your work, you know you're getting it right. Right? You check your work, you know you're getting it. You know you're hitting the right number. You know? All right, guys, we're waiting for the opening bell to play out here first. We're waiting here, chat, waiting. Look, there's the wick fill. We fill that wick. That's what we've been doing a lot lately. That's one of the recent. Look, there it goes. Again, that's how I'm able to call it. Like, generally speaking, like theorizing here, these candle wicks show selling pressure. So this shows this big candle wick right here shows selling pressure, right? But a nuance I've seen in the market recently is that we've been putting these big wicks in and then filling the complete wick down. Now, we're starting to reverse here, but we already filled 75% of that candle wick on the upside. Kind of predictable. I don't know what we're going to do now, though. No freaking idea. Don't copy me. I'm going to wait another 2 minutes before we trade. We're green on the day. I'll take it. Alright, so now we flush down a little bit. I don't know what I want to do in the rest. Alright. Yeah, so we're sitting here waiting, guys. I'm trying to be patient, but we've got basically pure chop since the opening bell. How do I move a password? Alright, we're already back up. Alright, I'm gonna buy this now. I'm gonna buy into this 2 contracts. Take a little bit off there, see if we get a pop. There we go. Scalped a little bit more on it. Alright, so we caught that move up. Alright. All the way back down again here. Weird. I guess I'm going to short this. I don't know what to do here. Honestly, we're so flat. I would usually buy the bottom and sell the top. But it depends on what you think NVIDIA is going to do here is the question. Hey, what's up, Blaze? Meta's flying up. Yeah, I'm looking at Meta. Amazon flushing down a little bit too. Bitcoin down to 63K. Meta's up to over 600s here. What a crazy move. Now, this is a big down wick here that I'm not super confident in it filling the gap. Because that's just a really strong move. Let's see if look, here's the big down wick. Let's see if it fills the gap. Maybe not. See, that's what I said. It doesn't look like, I don't freaking know, man. You know when you're talking and you're just like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And it's just like, yeah, that's it. But I was right. I said it doesn't look like it's going to fill this gap. And it didn't. NVIDIA just broke highs again. NVIDIA's churning up today, so I might start buying it on the long side. I think we've waited enough time. All right, so we bought it. We're green on the day, but not a lot green. We're going to add to our winning position here, see if we can catch something. All right, we took half off, locked it in. We got a little cushion on this trade now, so we can probably let it work a little bit longer, but just such a choppy day right now, guys. There's not a lot of good action, it looks like. Kind of up and down right now, man. What a weird price action. Wait, nothing's going on right now, guys. I'm gonna get out here. I just don't. This is unpredictable direction-wise. We would have made money on it, but still. NVIDIA's breaking highs, and NVIDIA is really what's turning up. But the whole market, I don't know. I mean, we're green on the day. Let me see how much I'm green. Yeah, we're nicely green on the day. We got a good little cushion, but still, this is unpredictable. NVIDIA's pushing up. A lot of other stuff is red. Very hard for the market to pick a direction, I think, right now. Alright, so we're going up. NVIDIA's breaking highs again up here, though. Look at that. Well, NVIDIA's ripping up. That's what's going on right now. If we can get a cheap enough entry on the downside, we'd bet on the upside, but we don't really have that. We got a cushion on the day, though, so we can start to increase some size and play with that cushion, but okay, so here's a downward move. I bought it a little bit too low, I think. We can maybe add to it, play with the cushion, take the risk. We might have to scale back down and take another risk here. Yeah. Alright, so we're trading with the cushion we have of profit on the day. So we have some green action today. And we're playing with that green action. The market is so volatile. Maybe I should just... It is CPI week. Maybe the whole art market's waiting for CPI to come out. See, the thing about it is, let's see if nvda jumps. I'm going to take one contract off here and lose $10, and I'm okay with that. We'll take another $10 in profit. So we're actually green on the trade. I might actually add back to it. We're going to add back to that. And we just locked in some more. We're going to get out of there too. So we made a little bit of money. It looks like we got out just in time too on that long trade. We're pushing up towards $100 in the day. Somehow we've made money in all this crazy amount of chop, but it's definitely not easy. It's kind of stressful. So doing it with big size probably ain't the move. There's just no range, or there's no momentum. Is what I meant to say. There's definitely range. I'm gonna buy this dip down here. Add to it 2 contracts. See if we get a little pop right back up, which is what we've been getting all morning. Took a little bit off. Took a little bit more off there too. We're attacking the range. You can see if we go down towards the bottom of the range, we'll buy it. We get towards the top, we'll sell it. But again, it's kind of a... Amazon's breaking down. Amazon at 181.40s. So Amazon's looking kind of weak. Yeah, CPI gets revised. So CPI does have revisions for sure. Let me see how often they are. I gotta find it. Oh wait, maybe it doesn't. One of them gets revised. I know payroll revision happens. Alright, so look at this big breakdown. This is a big enough breakdown where I don't really want to buy it now too. It looks too weak. We might continue down. And yeah, look at that. Under the 200 EMA. This is the type of move that can have piggyback momentum from it. It's a big drop. Supermicro semiconductors up 3%. Is it really? Alright, so look at this big breakdown here. Oh, wait. Alright. Alright, so look at that big pop. I'm gonna short this. Wait, I'm gonna wait. Hold on, let me see what I'm up right now. Let me see where I'm at. Okay, good. We're pushing towards 100. I should have shorted it too. Look at that big breakdown. I was trying to see what I'm up to see what kind of risk I could take here, but it's too late, and I think we're actually getting the flush that I was trying to bet on. Yeah, there's the flush. See, man, I gotta trust my own intuition. I Again, I said I thought this was going to turn around, and it did. I thought this was too big to buy up, and it was. But things are always subject to change. There's the flush down. Yep. Again, so piggybacking off of big moves is something that, like, a big trend in the market. And so the way you do it is you see a big move like this right here, right? Like, that's a big candle, right? That's arguably one of the biggest candles of the day, and it happened after the opening bell, right? The first, we had this choppiness, but we have this big old candle right here. You know, in theory, you could say, hey, we're at the bottom of the range. Let's buy it up and look for a move like that. But I think whenever you get a big red candle like that, it scares so many people out of it that we get a consequence of red action from it. Like, everybody else sees this big red candle, you get this big red move, people freak out, they get scared, they start selling, and so we get a little bit of follow through. Now maybe now's the time to buy it up, I don't know, but Amazon's flushing, Tesla's flushing, Apple's doing okay. Microsoft's down too. Google's red now too. So somehow I'm green on the day, but I'm trying to be patient and wait. All right, we're going to take one contract up here. Just one. Slightly green. I don't think I want to add any to this either. I'm just going to let it play out. What a move. Yeah, I was trying to give it some time, but it looks like we're actually starting to head all the way back up. So we're still green on the day, but not as green. I think I have another challenge account too. I'll have to get it set up. But look at this huge rebound in markets here. Honestly, let me see. Yeah, I have to get the other one set up. So we took a short just now. Hold on, I'll show you the short. I was trying to see if we had any rebounds in markets. We're actually kind of flat now, which is good. On the last two trades, we're still green on the day. Oh, okay, I got into a beautiful buy right down here. So I got into a beautiful buy here. Let me show you. I'm going to cut it. Yeah, so we're up about $100 on the day now, too. So we just made $30, $40, $50 just now on that trade. So we're up about 100 on the day now, a little bit maybe over that. We bought up this dip, and a lot of the time these big up wicks fill. For whatever reason, I see this happening a lot, where we get these big candle wicks, and a lot of the time they'll fill at least like 50, 75%. Not always, though. In theory, again, these big up wicks should signal downward pressure. But like, the market is always different. The market is always changing. It's one of the reasons if you see like penny stock gurus sell courses on day trading strategies for penny stocks that they made like 10, 15 years ago. Like, dude, those strategies don't work anymore, you know, but you're still out here like pushing it, like selling the same nonsense. But the market changes so much day to day. You know, you gotta get into kind of like a flow state of it, to be honest. Powell for Halloween, Roaring Kitty. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so we asked people, does this week's CPI report come in good or bad? 65% think hot, 35% say cold. And see, look at that upwick filling the gap, dude. I'm telling you, it doesn't happen every time. Nothing's 50%. Nothing is 100%. But it's predictable. And that's something that you see me taking today, like on a green day. It's predictable. Like, you got this big upward wick. We can predict that it's going to fill that gap, 60, 70% of it. You see this a lot recently for whatever reason. I don't know why. Like, you see it again here. You see this big down wick, you see it fill the gap. You see this big up wick, you see it fill the gap. It doesn't always happen like perfectly. And so if you could jump in, jump out before, great. But one thing that you'll see is that it doesn't fill the gap perfectly, but it pushes up at least 50 to 75% of it. before it starts heading back down too. And I guess this is to fake out people who see this big thing and want to piggyback off of the short. They want to stop them out first, so they bring it up, stop them out, and then continue in the weakness direction that this thing signaled in the first place. I think is the logic of it. But again, maybe I'm just, you know, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm just wrong. I don't know. John, is being up 15% in a month good? Yes, of course. 15% is good for a year, bro. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. Yeah, it's predictable algorithmic trading, 100%. I think that's what we see here. A lot of it is algorithmic trading. And again, guys, we've been doing this all today on TopstepX. It's the single biggest edge in funding, in my opinion. So these are my last 20 trades in futures. In the futures market, again, no PDT rule. I can day trade short, buy market, sell market. No PDT restrictions in futures. It's one of the reasons, like if you want to day trade, do not risk $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 more of your own money. It makes absolutely no sense to. Like you can try to look cool on the internet, but most day traders lose. Doesn't matter where they go, what course they take, who they follow, what platform they're on. Most day traders lose money. This is the inevitable truth for most people that understand markets. It's the truth, right? Day traders lose money, most of them. And so with that in mind, limit your risk with a funded account program. TopStep is one of the most legit in the world. They've paid out over $40 million to their traders. And again, it has the best rules for the game in funding. The best rules in the game. There's no commissions. You can day trade short, buy market, sell market. The big edge is that, again, I can get into all these little trades with relatively small size to where my risk isn't big. You know, out of the last 20 trades, I've lost 3 times. So I'm basically running over 80% accuracy today. Over 80%. Close to 90% accuracy today alone. And I can do this because if you look at the commissions, right, I can trade micro contracts. If I try to trade regular E-mini contracts, I can lose thousands very quickly. But I can trade micro contracts. Look, 0 commissions. And then look at the fees per trade on TopstepX. This is only on TopstepX. Look at the fees per trade here. 74 cents in fees per trade. That is a tiny, tiny fee per trade amount. Tiny, tiny fee amount per trade. And so I can get into these small little scalping trades, make money, and limit my risk once I'm funded. This is an actual funded account. If you're trying to get funded, I've got a good short on trying to get funded. You're going to have to take larger size if you're trying to get funded. And again, what they do is they give you a demo, test your skill with it first. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. The base one's $49. And so your risk in that situation is $49 a month versus risking 2, 3, 4, 5,000 or more funding your own account. But the split is 90%. So it's similar to putting the money up yourself. You just have much less risk, in my opinion. Best of both worlds, right? And again, some of the best rules in the game. That 0 commission aspect of this is a powerful thing because it allows you to trade small size. There's the link if you want to check it out. Again, they are a sponsor of mine. They pay me money. I'm biased, of course, like I always tell you. I understand CFTC 4.41, but I genuinely think this is good for traders, and I think it's useful for traders to limit their risk because most day traders lose. I think if they're not going to do something like this, then they're going to end up putting up 3, 4, 5 grand because they got sold on it by a guru and then just losing all of it. I think it's a pretty common outcome. It's what happened to me, at least. All right, so we have this downward trend starting to form here, I think, too. So look at the downward trend. I can draw the top range of it here. And I think we're going to get a bottom range that looks something like this. You know, it could be smaller than that. The bottom range could be here as well, a little bit more steep of an angle. But I think the trend that I see right now, at least from the top, is this and this. Right, so this would mean we're at the bottom of the range. And so if we get down here, we might bounce up like this. Again, I'm just speculating. I have no freaking idea what's going to happen here. No idea. But we'll see. That's a big breakdown. Yeah, that being said, don't spend 5K either. Right, 100%. Just take it slow. The best thing you could do, in my opinion. So look at that. We went right down to exactly where I said we would. And now we're moving right back up. You'd love to see it. All right, guys, I'm out. Y'all be good. Y'all have a great day. Again, tomorrow I think we have some earnings tomorrow, right? Earnings calls, earnings wise, we have tomorrow. Tomorrow we have Pepsi earnings at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Pepsi earnings, they're expecting $2.30 per share on $24 billion in revenue. Dude, look at that accuracy rate, right? The overarching point, like, look at this. I literally called this move. Look at that. You gotta celebrate your wins. I said before these two candles happen, really before that last candle happened too, I told people that I thought we would come down to here, bounce back up to the top of the trend. It depends on how far this trend lasts, but so far so good. You can kind of see it reflected in the QQQ, which is actually what we're trading in futures. In the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, gold, the Q price action in the NASDAQ. And look, here's the trend. I don't know if it's going to hold. This angle looks a little bit off here, so I'd put a paper right there. Get rid of this one. And then that's the trend. Now, it's a 1-minute trend. You got to put a 5-minute chart up to kind of clear out some of the BS for it. But that's the current little small range trend that I see we're currently in. Who knows, though? I might be wrong. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Love you all. Y'all have a great day.